Egypt, and we really were under the pump here.
That's where we fall asleep. We didn't react to that loose ball.
We normally scramble well in those situations, and if you get that half chance to save the day, we do. But that time we got caught a little bit, perhaps watching the play unfolding, and perhaps thinking that this guy was going to score. But Wiltshire did a wonderful job to tackle, but then he'll be disappointed that no one else was following up, really. So, I mean, Lucas Neal perhaps a little bit guilty of ball watching there and not really getting to the second man who was the ultimate goal scorer.
Yeah, it's just this next ball that they pounce on, we didn't react to.
I mean, it was a lovely little bit of work out of midfield, really. The wall pass, which we always talk about, is so difficult to defend against, but I think once we got that second, that has put another sort of bit of information in the coach's head to say, yes, they can contribute.
All right, it is time now to head back to Cairo for the second half with your commentators Simon Hill and Andy Harper.
Thanks very much, guys. Just watching a replay of the goal that divides the two teams at the moment. Came in the 29th minute, courtesy of Ahmed Abdul Zahir. And Egypt have been pretty good value for the most part. Tim Cahill will perhaps think otherwise. Had a very good opportunity. Just on those possible changes, we're not quite sure whether Michael Thwaite is fit to play in this game. He's been carrying that ankle injury that he picked up playing for the Gold Coast against Sydney. So we'll see what happens. It's Australia gets us back underway at the start of this second period. And there is still hope for the green and golds. However confident and assured the Egyptians looked. They have copped 8 goals in the last 4 internationals. So perhaps the defence is not quite as watertight as Hassan Shaherta would like, Andy Harper.
No, and first evidence there from Holger Osik is that he has reverted to a back 3. Let's see if that's the case. But there's Lucas Neal, flanked by David Carney. On the left-hand side, Ogdenovsky in there as well. Australia really haven't come to terms with this football match. It's very wanton in possession. And I think this will be the largest point of concern for Holger Osik. It's just a matter of holding on if you continue to turn the ball over.
Beautifully measured pass, and they could be in for a second here. They've scored a second, and it's his first touch on the park. Would you believe it? It's Ghetto, and it's 2-0 for the Pharaohs. What an introduction. Mohamed Zidane, the architect, with the defence-splitting pass. El Mohammadi with the delivery, and Ghetto with the finish. The 3 substitutes combined, and the coach is a genius.
Well, as Hassan Shaherta rings the changes, Australia squandered possession and fall on their own sword. It's been a very sloppy performance from the national team when in possession of the ball. Down the left-hand side, Carney forced to turn and chase. It's a delightful ball, really. It's that difficult one for defenders. Damage done here. From this point on, you'd had to back Egypt in, because that curling cross away from the goalkeeper, in between he and Lucas Neal, who's retreating, and Ghetto just too quick. And the 2-goal deficit, you'd have to say, is a fair representation of the football we've watched. Australia struggled. They haven't been themselves. They've been sloppy in possession. They've been slower to the punch, second to the second ball, and Egypt flying high.
So Grandpa on the score sheets. And Egypt, in this game at least, certainly the daddy at the moment. Another change. Well, he's almost changing his whole team here, I think. Hassan Shaherta. Goalkeeper going off. And he's replaced by Mohamed Shobeir, who's the goalkeeper for Ismaili. Getting just his 5th cap. There was a slight injury over Wahid, so maybe that's why the change has been made. He's handed the captain's armband over as well. I think that's changed hands on 3 occasions tonight. Well, the Aussies in the crowd still enjoying themselves, but I'm sure they're not enjoying that scoreline. Now maybe a chance for Brett Holman. Can he dig it out? Touch it back. McDonald takes a touch. Holman takes a deflection and behind for a corner. Well, that's better by the Socceroos.
But even the way that ball just got stuck under Brett Holman's feet is indicative of the lack of edge and sharpness in the Socceroos play. It was a fantastic opening, well-fashioned, came to nothing.
Scott McDonald still waiting for that elusive goal. Lena's corner. Back in by Holman. Lucas Neal, left highest, partially cleared by Goma. Sasha Ognanovsky had an almighty air swing at it. Now Egypt, maybe an injury too for Wiltshire, just a precautionary change. Otherwise can't see too much value in giving Carl Valeri a couple of minutes off the bench. Well, he's not playing for his club side, Sassuolo, still. Now, what's the referee awarded here?
Penalty. Lucas Neal, the judge, to have pushed in the back.
Well, everybody stopped. For a moment, I thought that was going to be a flag for offside, but no, it is a penalty kick late on. Egypt have the opportunity to make their winning margin even more emphatic, and Lucas Neal has picked up a yellow card for arguing. This will tell us a little more.
Very close to offside in the first instance. Which is a hardly conclusive.
Goodness me.
The referee had a great view. Whatever he thought he saw, he had an unimpeded view of it.
I've seen more push and shove in the playground, but it doesn't matter because Mohamed Zidane has wrapped it up for Egypt. 3-0, and the margin of victory will be emphatic in Cairo.
Well, there might be some discussion about the nature of the third goal. There can't be a lot of question marks about the scoreline. Australia well beaten here tonight. The yellow card for the celebration, which is mandatory. But Australia's heaviest defeat for...
And if we're going to be pernickety about the rules, Harps, there are about 8 players inside the penalty box before that kick was taken, but there you go.
Well, they're moot points. Australia well beaten tonight. 3-goal margin I don't think is unreasonable, notwithstanding the fact this was a pretty questionable call.